I'm Duke, and this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Hey, Duke. Howdy, Adam. Have you ever noticed how that old moon up there seems to play tricks on us? You mean like how it hides behind clouds just when you want to admire it? Nah, I mean more like how it's always moving around playing hide and seek with me. Hide and seek with you? How so? Well, every time I reckon I found my hat under the moonlight, it up and moves on me like a slippery snake in the grass. Maybe your hat's got a hankering for some lunar adventures, Duke. Maybe so, but I tell you, that moon's got a real knack for mischief. Makes me wonder if it's plotting something sneaky up there. I think you've been spending too much time under those starry skies, Duke. But hey, if the moon's in on your hat hunt, maybe it'll drop a clue next time it's full. Now there's an idea, Adam. I'll keep my eyes peeled for any moonlit hat trails, and if that moon's got any secrets, you'll be the first to know. Today's book is a classic of children's literature, beloved by generations of readers and listeners. The quiet poetry of the words and the gentle, lulling illustrations combine to make a perfect book for the end of the day. Let's get started. Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown. Pictures by Clement Hurd. In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens, and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb and a brush, and a bowl full of mush, and a quiet old lady who was whispering, "Hush." Did you find that hat yet? That dang hat's gone missing again. Must have sprouted legs and trotted off on its own. Maybe you left it out with the cattle again. Last time I found it on old Bessie. That explains why she looks so fancy. Never knew she had a thing for fashion. But I reckon I'll have to search high and low for it in the morning. For now, I reckon I'll just hit the hay without it. Speaking of hitting the hay, do you need help wrangling those blankets? You're wrestling them like a wild Mustang. You might be onto something there, Adam. These blankets sure do put up a fight. But you know what they say, taming the bedding beast is part of the cowboy way. Okay, I've never heard that one before. I'll leave you to your wrestling match then. I'm just going to read a few pages of a bedtime story before I hit the sack. Bedtime story, huh? Don't reckon I've had one of those since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. What's tonight's tale about? Funny enough, it's about a cowboy who keeps losing his hat, and every time he finds it, it ends up in the most unexpected places. Sound familiar? Well, slap some spurs on me and call me surprised. That story sounds mighty familiar indeed. Reckon I could learn a thing or two from that cowboy. Maybe you should take notes, or at least put a bell on your hat so it doesn't sneak away again. Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light and the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs. Good night, kittens. And good night, mittens. Good night, clocks. And good night, socks. Good night, little house. And good night, mouse. Good night, comb. And good night, brush. Good night, nobody. Good night, mush. And good night to the old lady whispering, "Hush." Good night, stars. Good night, air. Good night, noises everywhere. I reckon this book's got me all kinds of puzzled. Puzzled? How come? Well, for starters, why is that little bunny saying goodnight to everything in the room? Ain't that just a tad peculiar? I guess it does seem a bit odd when you think about what in that way. But it's a soothing bedtime ritual for kids, saying goodnight to everything before they go to sleep. I reckon so, but what gets me the most is that darn moon. Why is it so special that it gets its own book title? Well, I suppose the moon is just one of those timeless symbols of nighttime. Plus, it rhymes with room. But tell me, have you ever tried saying goodnight to your boots before? I can't say I have. But if it helps you sleep better, it I won't judge. Well, I'll be darned. Maybe I'll give it a try tonight. Good night, Boots. Good night, Duke. And good night to the cowpoke reading bedtime stories. But before you go to sleep, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Adam. And I'm Duke. And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Did you know? The moon's surface is covered in craters and hardened lava plains, and has many mountains, including Mons Huygens, which is the tallest at 4,700 meters.